Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Laugh at Pat podcast, #Patchats. Thank you for all of you who have been tuning in and who watched the video last week. If YouTube showed me the names of the people who watched, I could personally thank each and every one of you, but I do appreciate all 12 of you who, they don't want just the finished, edited content. They want some unfettered, unedited, rambling Pat in their lives on a Friday. So thank you for all of you who checked out last week's episode. To start off, before we even get into the show this week, I was scrolling on the gram, as one does from time to time, and due to the fact that Instagram is tracking my location, for not any sort of nefarious reasons, but just so that they can synergistically take that data and add it to what they have from Facebook and WhatsApp, which those companies are definitely not a monopoly. But they had my location, which is here in Germany, and so they gave me a really fun sponsored ad, which was it was a Comedy Central ad, which I like comedy, so good target so far. But I'm in Germany, so their swing and a miss was they were advertising to me Comedy Central in Germany now airing The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which, I mean, who doesn't love the Will Smith classic, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I mean, the theme song is amazing, the fashion. I'll be honest, I watched a few reruns of it in my teenage years. I feel like on like the CW or the local Cron 4, like a 5 p.m. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But the point being, they gave me this German advertisement for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I felt like this is something that needs to be captured. So I grabbed my camera and I just recorded my phone with my camera. So now please sit back and enjoy a 15-second Comedy Central ad in German for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yo, darf ich dir mal kurz was ins Ohr retten, Mann? Die Stilikone der 90er kommt zu Comedy Central. Seine Tänze zu wild. Die Outfits on fleek. Nicht genau. Die Sprüche. Ja, der Flug ist runtergegangen wie ein Sahnetörtchen mit Eis. Hart an der Grinch-Grenze. Das finden wir gar nicht komisch. Hey, ich bin Dichter und ich habe noch eine Menge Tinte in meinem Füller. Will Smith ist... Oh, ich weiß es. Immer noch der alte Prinz, Mann. Der Prinz von Bel-Air. Montag bis Freitag 17:30 Uhr auf Comedy Central.
I'm not totally sure how long the ad was or how long I just waited, but I feel like we can fix that in post. Although the point of this is that it's supposed to not give me so much editing work to do like the other videos, but I felt like that's a fun place to start. I mean, how can you not feel joy with just there's something for me that I love with German, which is like when they're trying to speak German, but in like a fun, super fun, like ad upbeat voice. Like, I mean, it's a weird voice to do in English as well. When you see one of those ads where they're like, tune in on Wednesday for lots of laughs with Charlie Sheen and blah, 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 and 2.5 Men. I mean, that's a stupid voice as well, but I'm used to that. Hearing that same kind of voice in German is just great. And, so I felt like I needed to bring that into the show today and share it with all of you guys. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, we're gonna start off the show with a little laugh at Pat housekeeping. I mean, I have to imagine if you guys are watching this podcast, you are an avid Laugh at Pat fan. So you probably you care about things like what videos are coming out next? What's coming up for Laugh at Pat? What's going to be the new thing? What's going on? So, if any of you follow my Instagram at laughatpat on Instagram and on TikTok, follow all my socials. if any of you guys follow my Instagram, I made a post on New Year's, and I showed a photo of kind of, I made like a release schedule that I had planned out in, like, I think it was September or something, and maybe it was October, but I just wrote out like each Wednesday kind of like, okay, that this week I want to do this video and this video, and I didn't stick with it exactly, totally, but I came pretty close, and I was just like remarking that I was proud of myself for that, and just talking about what this project has meant to me, as far as like bringing meaning to my life and being a creative outlet, or whatever. We are off to a very unfunny start. I brought you some joy with German Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and now I'm just bringing it down. But that's kind of the whole Laugh at Pat podcast deal. That's what #Patchats is all about. But the plan, as I was making the plan, like in October, or no, I made it in October, but I saw that, Wednesday, next Wednesday, is Inauguration Day. And Wednesday is also the day I happen to put out videos. And so I thought it would be fun to do. I didn't know what exactly it would be, but I was like, oh, I should do like an Inauguration Day video. I really enjoyed doing Political Pat back in August, announcing my candidacy for president. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough votes or donors. And it was a grassroots movement, but the roots weren't moving much, and there really wasn't much grass. It was like a patch of dirt movement, if that's a saying. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun making that ad, and I was like, oh, I could do something with Inauguration Day, maybe like bringing in the Real Fake Facts Pat to do Inauguration Day coverage, or like do an Inauguration Day speech. And I was, I've been really excited about this actually since like December, just to make some fun jokes kind of about Trump, and also to finally, feel like, okay, now it's apparent, I hope at least it's acceptable to start making some small critiques of Joe Biden and this new administration. Now that the imminent threat of Trump is gone, maybe we can, be allowed to say one or two things that might not be so great about Joe Biden. And then, unfortunately, there was this riot at the Capitol, and as soon as it happened, I'm not proud of myself for doing this, but I really thought to myself, like, fuck, like, I'm not sure if this is gonna go over so well, like my kind of feeling like I'm smart, political video critiquing the Biden campaign's cabinet picks, which, to be fair, have been as atrocious as I might have imagined. Just, yeah, like, sure, let's hire the guy from Monsanto to run the USDA and be in charge of our food. Let's get the guy from Raytheon to be our Secretary of Defense. Okay, fun times here on the Laugh at Pat podcast, #Patchats. We had a little issue there. I recorded about 25 minutes, almost the entire first half of the podcast, and then at some point looked down and realized the video had stopped recording, which is fun, because I felt like I really touched comedic gold, and you guys will never see it. No, actually, I feel like maybe it was the big man upstairs intervening and being like, you've very, very self-indulgently talked about your creative process and the stress of just making videos for fun, your hobby and passion, and trying to learn German at the same time, and the stress that that's putting on you. So maybe it's for the best that we lost that. The video cuts out at about 8 minutes, so I'm not sure exactly where that was. I know that we got to have the fun of watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in German. So we still have that nugget of joy in our hearts, and that's fun. You get to take that home with you. That's for you. That's a gift from me to you. And I think it cut out at some point when I was talking about the Laugh at Pat news. So I'm just going to summarize it real quick, and then I'm going to get to the other thing I wanted to talk about. The first one, but the part of the news was that I had this whole big plan to do an inauguration day video, and then the Capitol riots happened, and everything I wrote kind of, snarkily critiquing the Biden administration's cabinet picks kind of felt, and there were some good Trump burns in there. I had a great line about that I was really happy with, about where he's like, nasty men have called my friend, President-elect Biden, Sleepy Joe. Anyways, I liked the throwing some shade at Trump by calling him a nasty man. Anyways, so that was the plan for Wednesday, and then that kind of got blown up, and it's too bad because I felt like I had written some fun stuff in there, and it was a little of a departure for me to do something more political and less absurd and stupid. Although it was still pretty stupid, if I'm being honest. That's kind of my brand. When you think Laugh at Pat, you think fucking dumb. That's what I'm going for, at least. But yeah, then I saw one of my favorite podcasts, the Tim Dillon Show. He did a little short, like 2-minute bit about an apocalypse sommelier, and I thought like it just really hit me and made me die laughing. And so the last 2 days I wrote this whole sketch about the apocalypse sommelier, and I'm hoping that will turn out well. I'm really excited about it. I'm super excited to shoot it this weekend. And so that will replace the Inauguration Day video. And the other big announcement was that in February will be the month of Patricia. Thank you to my friend Charlie, who recommended that I do a month of Patricia at some point. And I felt like February is the month of lovers. And, Patricia is a lover, not a fighter. And so I thought February will be the month of Patricia, especially now that I have the green screen. And so she's going to help you optimize your dating profile and, maybe some other stuff. I haven't really figured out all the ideas. If you have some ideas, get in the comments. Let me know what you want to see Patricia talk about, Patricia do. Although, let's be honest, if you're watching this, you probably have my phone number, so you could also just text me if you want to. Yeah. So, but yeah, if you have any suggestions, I'm looking for seeds of creativity and things to go off of. So if you have ideas about what you want to see Patricia do, let me know. So those were the Laugh at Pat announcements. Now let's get to what I'm pretty sure got cut off. But just in case I'm wrong about where the video cut off and I just totally repeated myself, maybe we should just do like a second fresh take. And, if I did repeat myself, then movie magic, you guys will never know this happened. But if I didn't, then we get to be on this fun moment together where we kind of do the fresh start. So let's do it now. Okay. Welcome back to the Laugh at Pat Show. We had some technical difficulties that we had to deal with. The video cut out, and so now we're trying to pick up where we left off, wherever that may be, because I wasn't able to check. Anyways, we're having fun. Well, I don't know if you're having fun. I'm having fun. I love the sound of my own voice, and I just feel professional here. Like I got my little notes and I'm hearing my voice. I got my headphones this time. I got the laptop. It's fun. It's fun and professional. I feel like a podcaster, which is cool. So what I wanted to talk about was New Year's resolutions. I haven't really been a big resolutions guy. Like, oh, I want to do this for a year. I think partly because I know how weak I am, and I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna do something for an entire year. Like, I don't know why we have New Year's resolutions, like a whole year. Like, what a unmanageable mark to set for ourselves. Like an entire year. I mean, even for years that go by quickly, like 2020, I felt like in some ways went by in a blink. I mean, in some ways it also lasted really, really, really long, like so long. But yeah, like why a year? Why like a whole year of doing something? I mean, I guess the idea is if you can stick with a new habit that you create like as a New Year's resolution for a whole year, then like maybe it's really going to be in your life. But I prefer more manageable ideas, like just a general idea of like, oh, I'd like to try to do this more. Like I don't want to. I don't want to set any too much expectation on myself. Set the bar low for myself. Or what I'm doing this year is just like a month. A month of whatever the thing is that you're going to try to do. Excuse me. For me, this year, I was like, I'm gonna do a sober January. I've done a sober January before in my life, and I haven't done it for the last few years. And what was it? 4 months of living in Berlin made me feel like, what, it's time to revisit the sober January. Maybe a month break for my brain and my liver are a good thing. Also, I think there's something about like a harsh winter, and that it just, the drinking can sneak up on you because you're like, it's so cold. Maybe I'll have like a nice glass of red wine to warm up while I'm cooking dinner, and then you're eating the food, and a nice second glass of wine would really pair nicely with the meal. And then, well, now you've finished dinner and maybe just one more glass, and then you look and, well, there's only a little bit left in the bottle. Maybe we should finish the bottle if there's just this much. It's just a taste left. And then all of a sudden you've drinking, half a bottle of wine, and it's Tuesday, and you did that also on Monday and on Sunday. And so it's just, I feel like it can get away from you easily with a cold winter, with a cold winter's night. So yeah, I don't know. Anya's roommate was talking about doing a sober January. I was like, yeah, like I'm down. Let's do it. And Anya was like, well, I still want to have a glass of wine every once in a while. And I was like, that's fair. But what we had done another time, the first time I visited Berlin, one of her friends was doing a sober month, and she was like saying, should we also do it? And I was like, well, this is my first time in Berlin. I'm here for 3 months. I kind of want to like explore the bars and stuff here, and be able to go to the park and have a beer. Drinking in public is still a novelty for me coming from the States, or at least without the anxiety. And so I was like, I'm not really up for that, but like, sugar is something I really have trouble with controlling myself. So maybe we should try a sugar-free month. And so we did that. And so I decided also like this January, like no being sober, and then also no sugar. And to be fair, my no sugar is more of like a no sweets. I'm still going to eat fruit. Like I feel like a little bit of fruit sugar is not so bad. And I'm checking the ingredients lists at stores. I'm trying not to buy like sauces or, pasta that has added sugar or whatever. All this stuff that has added sugar. I'm trying not to buy that kind of stuff. But, like if I'm going to the donor shop, I'm not going to be like, is there sugar in your canola sauce or whatever? It's just, I'm trying to avoid the sweet. So I'm doing my best, okay? That's all I can do. So, I was like, okay, no alcohol, no sugar. And then I also listened to this great interview on another amazing podcast, almost as good as the Laugh at Pat podcast, #Patchats. The Tim Ferriss Show, which is a great podcast to listen to hear people talk about how to, optimize your life, be effective, be just utilize your time well and whatnot. And he had an interview with Jerry Seinfeld, and I listened to it, and it was really interesting. One, Jerry talked about just that every morning he gets up and he writes. And the other thing that I felt like was so insightful, he was talking about his daughter was trying to write, and he was like, there's no greater torture than just writing like totally open-ended. And so he was like, you have to set the parameters so that when you're done, and you can feel good that you finished that. And he was like, even if you're just starting with writing for 5 minutes, like then slowly you can increase. And so that's what I thought also for this January is like, okay, I want to write every morning. I'm writing a lot more of my sketches now and doing kind of less of this like very long-winded improvising that I was doing before, where I had to cut down 2.5 hours of video into some 15-minute thing that's still too long somehow and was very time consuming. I'm trying to actually like write stuff and be more effective that way with my videos. And then also, even though it's not possible to do stand-up right now, I was like, I really want to try to be still working on that and engaging with that muscle a little bit. And so I thought I'll also take that on. And so I've been doing that. And that's actually been my favorite part. You know, the not eating sweets has actually been pretty easy. The not drinking also pretty easy. My big thing, I've been getting super into sparkling water. More on that later in the show. Don't worry. I know you really want to hear more about the state of German sparkling water, and you're going to hear everything you want to know and more. Yeah, like, I mean, it hasn't been too challenging. I mean, of course, like on the weekend when someone's having a glass of wine and you're like, oh, that would be kind of nice to also have a glass of wine. But, yeah, all in all, it hasn't been too bad. But the writing thing has been by far the most rewarding part of my kind of January of self-discipline and whatnot. And I also like the idea sometimes of really just like hunkering down and focusing. And so, you know, I'm like, I've got my German that I really need to be like practicing even more and really working on more than I'm doing. I want to make my videos better. I'm also already thinking about in the summer, I need 15 videos to get me through the period when I'm fishing. And so that means from starting this month, I need to do an extra 3 videos every month if I want to get that. And so I'm already starting to think about that. I haven't like gotten to it yet, but like, or what are some like quicker, easier video ideas that I can do to start like getting this little surplus that I can have to cover me through the summer. You know, I have also kind of debated a little bit in my head. You know, my girlfriend has brought it up and my parents have brought it up. Like, do you want to just like keep making a video every week for like, how long do you want to keep doing this? And I told myself at least a year. You know, I launched March 12th last year. And so I want to make it at least a year, you know, 52 videos, 52 weeks of making a video every week. That feels significant. And like, I need to meet that threshold. And then maybe at that point, it's time to consider maybe twice a month or once a month. Also, is it easier to get a response if it's a little less frequent, so it's somehow a bit more special? That's something that I want to maybe think about and consider. On the other hand, what I like about the fact that it's just like the grind of doing it every week is I feel like I come up with ideas sometimes that I wouldn't come up with if I didn't have that pressure. And also, I definitely notice it's like I'm getting better. Like, you know, the writing, the editing process, the shooting process, it's like I'm getting more effective at doing this thing. And so I think to myself, like, well, what if I did it for 2 years? Where would I be at after 2 years? And, you know, what if I could do it for 3 years? Where could I be after 3 years? Like, maybe it could actually really be something that I was proud of if I, you know, did this, pushed myself every week for 3 years or 4 years or 5. You know, it's like the more you listen to creative people talk, it's like it seems like it's really it's just a time game. It's like, how consistently can you push yourself over how long of a period? That's how you really get good at something. And you know, there's this Ira Glass quote which I've overquoted on this podcast about that and about setting yourself a deadline and how that's how you get good at doing something in this kind of area of creativity. So I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about, and not at all related to this whole January situation. The other last thing I've been doing is the yoga with Adrian 30-day challenge. I haven't quite been sticking with it every day, but I'm like, okay, like it's basically this month, I guess, for me is like how can I just really try to live, you know, if I were to set like the highest bar for myself, what I would really like my life to be, where I'm working super hard on the creative thing I'm passionate about. I'm trying my hardest learn a new language, which is something good for my brain and adds something valuable to my life? How am I taking care of my diet and, making sure I'm putting good things into my body? And how am I also really physically taking care of myself through like exercise? And then also, I think with yoga, you get this added, the meditation and the breathing aspect of it that also, I think can add a lot of value. And so I'm like, what does it look like? How will I feel after a month of trying to really be at the highest level that I could expect of myself? And so far, I feel pretty good. Although yesterday I was so stressed out. I snapped at my girlfriend. I did not effectively learn in my German class because I was, really just on edge with like dealing with getting my video finished. And I asked a little too much of myself yesterday, and I let it get to me big time. And in those moments, I think the valuable thing that I've gained through my own whatever sort of like spiritual personal journey I've done, I think the valuable thing I've gained is that in that moment I can say to myself, okay, like I'm letting this get to me, and I can kind of observe myself almost like out of body of like, wow, you're really letting this get to you, and you're really like freaking out and whatnot. It's not like I can stop the train. It's already off the track, but I can at least be like, wow, look at that. That's what a shit show that is. And that's a small victory, I guess. And that's what yoga's all about. So yeah, that's kind of where my head has been at, and what I've been doing for my New Year's resolutions, my month-long resolution, which I feel like is just a much more manageable resolution. Why not bite off a month and then see where you're at? Because I already thought to myself, like, this is going pretty well, and I'm enjoying it, minus my total meltdown yesterday, which I do have to take a moment to apologize to Anya for. I'm sorry that I'm this way. But I was like, well, maybe actually I'll like keep going until my birthday, until beginning of March. Like, let's see. And then I was like, well, let's just see how things play out and see how we're feeling at the end of the month. But I just feel like, yeah, why are we trying to bite off a year? A year's a crazy amount of time. I can't commit to anything for a year, really. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I can't commit that I'll still be making these YouTube videos in a year. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna get a whim to go do something else. So yeah, I don't know why we're making our resolution so long. That's what we're really coming to at the end of the first half of the Laugh at Pat podcast. #Patchats is why are resolutions so long? I disagree. Now, we got some exciting stuff coming up in the second half of the show. We're going to do a little, I've been replacing, since I'm not doing sweets or drinking beer or wine, I'm like, okay, I have to replace with something. And my thing that I'm replacing with is sparkling water. And so we're going to do a little review of German sparkling waters. I got some great headlines from Yahoo News that we're going to go through. We'll talk about what I'm into and what's going to happen on the podcast next week. For me, there will be a little pause. For you, it'll be an even shorter pause. But we'll be right back with the second half of #Patchats. Hello, and welcome back to the second half of the Laugh at Pat podcast, #Patchats. We're going to just jump right in with some riveting content that I know all of you guys have been waiting for all episode. My kind of deep dive into the sparkling waters of Germany. As I said, part of my no sugar sober January, I'm like, I gotta have something. I need treats. That's the thing. My whole thing in life is I love a treat. I just, if you've been a good boy and you did your German homework and you made a nice video and then you also did yoga and went for a run and you also did the dishes and then you cleaned up the thing, like, what, I feel like you deserve a treat. And for me, like, I want a treat. And a treat can be like watching a show, but also like, I like consumption treats. And that's maybe part of why sometimes I need to do like a sober January, is that like it can be too easy to be like, oh, I need a treat, like a little beer. Or like, ooh, I need a treat, like how about a little piece of candy? But now my treat is sparkling water because I'm 30. No, I don't know. People like sparkling water. Somehow, I remember like all of a sudden a couple of years ago, like sparkling water became like a thing. Like I feel like sparkling water was not such a thing. Like at least in the States or like in my friend circle, it became a big thing. Like LaCroix became super trendy, which was always weird to me because I always felt like LaCroix was like the trashiest sparkling water you could get. It's in a can, which to me is like the most déclassé way of drinking sparkling water. I mean, growing up as a child, I fucked with sparkling water a little bit because I was like a fat child, and I also loved like beverages. Like that was like one of my big weight gain things was like beverages. And so if you're not gonna have like sugary Gatorade or soda or whatever, you're like, oh, I'll go like with a nice sparkling water with like a hint of lemon or a hint of lime. And I was a big Crystal Geyser fan myself. I thought that Crystal Geyser was a classic. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, LaCroix is the shit. And I have to say, like, I was pretty anti LaCroix for a while. And then I had some of the flavors, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I'm not sure how they're making it taste like this with having like no calories, no sugar, no whatever. But I mean, you got to game respect game. That's a damn good sparkling water. So I guess what I'm coming out as now and saying is that I accept LaCroix now in my life. But let's talk about these German sparkling waters. This is what I'm drinking currently, which is the Brandenburger Quell, the classic Naturliches Mineral Wasser. Can you tell how well my German classes are going? Urquell frisch aus Deidersdorf. I don't know what that means either. It could be something about the company. But it's natural mineral water. And I have to say, this is the one I most recently opened up. And it's my favorite. I mean, the bubbles on this, like, I'll just give you guys a live viewing of me tasting it. The bubbles are amazing. Like, it fizzes in the mouth nicely to, like, the very back of the mouth. And so I appreciate, like, a nice quality mineral water. So I would say that that's probably my favorite. Some other insights I feel like I've gained have been that, definitely, this is probably kind of obvious and intuitive, but the sparkling waters in the glass bottles, they're just a bit better. And I don't know if it's just because it feels classier to be drinking it from the glass bottle, the weight of it in your hand, or if, there's the plastic, leaches a little bit into the water or what the situation is, but the glass bottles are a little bit better. Now, this is the one I had last night, which is probably the fanciest bottle. I mean, it looks like it would be real fancy. And this is the Stadtel Faschingen, Feinepland und Eifschrind, Naturlich Mineralwasser mit Kohlensäure versalzt. I don't know what Kohlensäure is, but it's a medium mineral water. Now, I do have to give a little caveat here, which is that I've been buying a lot of the medium mineral waters. The reason being that I haven't been able totally to discern always which waters are still waters and which waters are mineral waters. And so if it says medium on there, it's like, I know it's a medium mineral water, because I feel like there would be nothing more disastrous than spending like, €1.50 or whatever, €1 or whatever it is for one of these on a water. And then you get home and it's still water. I mean, because there's a time and a place to buy still water and pay for still water, but it's not as a treat, and it's not like blindly on accident at a grocery store. It's like I want to buy a nice, classy like Fiji water, or still water's not even my game. I'm a tap water man. I'm a Brita filter man. Buying still water is not my game, so I'm not going to comment on it. But I kind of feel like that's not what you want. So I've been going the safe route, which is always choosing the medium ones. And this one, as I said, fancy bottle, and I enjoyed this one last night. But now that I've had the Brandenburger Quell, Brandenburger is the area here, so maybe it comes from around here. This was also a Brandenburger Quell. This is the green bottle here that I drank this week. You can see here, Brandenburger Quell medium. And I have to say, surprise, surprise, the classic is better than the medium. But I mean, I just don't remember this one really sticking out to me as being special. Now there's the Bad Leibenwerder Mineral Quellen, which is like a mineral queen here. Das Quellingsgut. This is also a medium. You can see it's a bit of a bigger bottle, which I enjoyed. More water is good. I think 1.5 liter, yeah. And there's this mineral queen on here, and it's it's a bit of a, like, she has no face except for a mouth, and then she's not wearing a shirt, and either her nipples are set like very wide apart, or she has no nipples, but she definitely has breasts. And then she has a small little like loincloth covering her up, and the more I look at this label, it feels somehow weirdly sexual, and maybe I'll try to take a photo of this and put it up on the screen. What are we at? 722. Mark that down. 722 photo. But she's like catching water in her hands, but it's like, does she have something else in her hands, or she's just like kind of capturing the water in her hands in this kind of weirdly sexual nature? It just, I don't know. You'll see the photo hopefully, and you'll kind of be like, yeah, that's a bit weird. What else do we have here? We also have the Spree fuel. The river Spree runs through the city, and honestly, it's a disgusting river. I mean, it's not disgusting. It's quite beautiful. I really love the river Spree. It goes through right by one of my favorite parks, Treptower Park. Now, is it someplace that I would ever like go swimming? I don't think so. Or as we say in in Deutsch, nein. Leider nein. Unfortunately, no. And so I definitely wouldn't want to be drinking that water. But this is called Spree Fuel. And they have the fun Berlin Space Needle on here. This was also a medium sparkling water, and I believe this was the second water that I got. Naturlich Mineralwasser mit Weinen Kohlensäure. I got to look up what this Kohlensäure is. Probably maybe some. It's not sugar. I know that. Maybe it's maybe it's. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But I don't need to guess about that. But yeah, this one was Spree Fuel. This one was okay. I felt like, that was not really remarkable. So far, the Brandenburger Classic is my favorite. The one I will say is the Bad Leibenwerder, again with the sexual woman on her knees catching water with her hands, but like looking at the camera, kind of like, at the end of certain types of videos. Again, with this like either very weirdly wide apart nipples or no nipples. But I got this Bad Liebenwerder Mineral Quell, and this was the first one I got. This was my first step. We were at the Kaufland, which is a grocery store here in Berlin. And this is a Spritzig plus Citro, which is so like kind of a lemon mineral water. And the thing is that's weird, people love to talk about how Americans are fat, especially Europeans. Like Europeans always kind of like, oh, Americans a little fat, and it's true. I mean, let's be honest. There's some truth to that. But one thing I found frustrating is I cannot find just a goddamn mineral water without sugar. Like all of the flavored mineral waters are like sugared mineral waters, which is not what I want. If I'm going for a mineral water, I don't want like a sugary mineral water. I would just, at that point, that's a soda. Like a sugary mineral water is just a fucking soda. Like why wouldn't I just buy a Coke at that point, But so this one was the only one that I found that was a flavored mineral water without sugar. It was the first one. It was kind of the gateway drug of the mineral water game. It was an impulse buy. I saw it and I was like, ooh, maybe like a cold lemon mineral water would be like a nice treat, And now this is all I bought this on Sunday, so it's been less than a week, and I've had 6 different selections of mineral water. And I told myself, oh, I'm buying this mineral water it's going to be for the podcast. I'll do a little bit where I talk about the mineral waters. It'll be funny, but really it's just that I want a treat every day, and mineral water is what I've got. So yeah, that's a little review of the German mineral waters. Don't you worry, I will keep you up to date with the latest news in German mineral water as we proceed and as I continue to explore the world of German mineral water. Hopefully I can find some more with a little bit of like a lemon or a lime taste without the sugar. Let's see. But that's this section, and I'm gonna take these bottles down. And the next thing we're gonna do is this is the section of the show where we talk about headlines from Yahoo News, my favorite shitty news source. I came up with the analogy on the spot last week. I was quite proud of myself about this. Of that Yahoo News is kind of like the same experience as getting the news when you're standing in line at the grocery store, like at the checkout, at least how it used to be. Like there's some trashy kind of super gossipy newspapers there, like maybe a Newsweek and a Time magazine with something kind of like real news, a couple packs of bubble gum. I feel like that's kind of like what Yahoo News is. And I have a hardcore Yahoo addiction. I check it more than like Instagram or Facebook. It's probably my number one visited website at this point. And I definitely gain nothing from it other than headlines of articles that I don't read that then I like quote in conversation later, which is absurd. And as I'm looking at it, a lot of times I'm like, this is wild. And last week I showed you the fun headline about the Tennessee bomber being into lizard people conspiracies. And I got some good ones this week. So here at 12:50, we will throw up the first headline here, which I saw this one and I was like, this is like classic Yahoo News. And it says, finally, celebrities react to Trump's Twitter ban. Because that's really what we've been missing throughout the discourse of this Capitol riot and social media stepping in and deciding that they should be the ones who arbitrate what speech happens on their platforms, which is definitely not a slippery slope. But I was like, yes, good. Celebrities are reacting to Trump's Twitter ban. That's just a classic Yahoo News headline, and we got a kind of unattractive picture of Kirstie Alley here. That's also like one of the little fun things they do in like the media in general, but also specifically, I always see a lot of examples on Yahoo News. The picture that they choose to show of you really shows kind of the angle that they're trying to push here, so I thought that one was fun. Let's move on to the next one here at 14:08. Which is, I thought this was a cool headline. This is a classic type of headline that I would quote in a conversation without having read the article. And this is just that crows are self-aware and know what they know, in quotes, just like humans. Almost no other species has that kind of higher intelligence. Now, this is something I had kind of heard about before, this idea that crows, the structure of their brain is like the most similar to humans, and they're, in fact, incredibly intelligent and whatever. But I just thought this was a fun headline also because it's like interesting. It's it's clickbaity. It's like I would click on this. Oh, like crows are self-aware. But then in classic Yahoo News fashion, they got the little twist and know what they know, which is like, yeah, I'm sure every single creature knows what they know, like there couldn't be a more vague thing. So anyways, I thought that was a good one, a fun little sciencey one here. Let's move on to the next one at 15:18 here. So getting back to the Capitol riot, horned Capitol rioter is failed actor and QAnon conspiracy theorist who lives with his mother, report. And the first thing I thought about this is like, look, there's a lot of things that we can critique about the horned Capitol rioter, but let's not just like start taking down people who live with their mothers. I mean, it's not such a great world or economy for people of my generation. It's maybe not the easiest thing to always move out of the house. And some of us are living at home by choice because it's just that we get along with our parents. It's a good economic situation for us. It's also a nice way to be in each other's lives. So I was like, let's not take down people for living with their parents. I think that's the wrong approach here. Also, I also had to pick out this headline just because I think it's funny because like Horned Capital rioter is failed actor and QAnon conspiracy theorist. Like that's news. Like what would be newsworthy to me is like Horned Capital rioter is well-known lawyer or Horned Capital rioter is heart surgeon. Like I think every one of us who saw that guy was like, yeah, he's probably like a failed actor, QAnon conspiracy theorist. Like I think that's the normal assumption. We don't need a whole headline to tell us that. But just more classic Yahoo news there for you. And moving on at the next one, 1710. This is just, I'm giving myself some help here with that timestamps. Yes. Another political headline here. A lot of politics on Yahoo News lately. Used to be a little bit more, Kim and Kanye getting divorced or, sports and stuff. But, clickbaity politics headlines is where the money's at these days in the media. Let's be honest. And, sometimes I click them. But let's see. So this one, political headline. How can America heal from the Trump era? Lessons from Germany's transformation into a prosperous democracy after Nazi rule. Comparisons between the United States under Trump and Germany during the Hitler era once again being made following the storming of the U.S. Capitol. And this is just something that drives me nuts in general. Is like, I think it does it harms us more to make this comparison when it's not true, when it's not, in my opinion, true, then because I think the thing is that it's like it might spiral to something as bad as that era. But if you start making the comparisons, which is, I feel like Nazi Germany has been the comparison throughout the Trump presidency, much before the Capitol riot. And it does us all a disservice when they do that. And so that's not really that funny. Maybe I shouldn't have included it, but I didn't go through this folder before we started recording. I just I've been saving them throughout the week. So the next one here at 1850. This one is just, this is fun. This is a classic Yahoo News health insider. A man injected himself with magic mushrooms and the fungi grew in his blood, putting him into organ failure. The 30-year-old attempted a psychedelic trip during a manic episode. Magic mushrooms that contain psilocybin are meant to be eaten, not injected. One, I like that in the subheadline, they also tell you how to properly do mushrooms. Which is, honestly, it's a good discourse. I feel like this is the type of story that they would have, even 5 or 10 years ago for sure, used as like a example of why magic mushrooms are dangerous and must be kept, stage 1 illegal with like heroin and actually maybe they're not stage 1 illegal, but federally illegal that you could go to prison for having them or selling them or whatever, when in fact they're, in my opinion, one of the greatest tools to self-understanding, self-compassion, and that's been brought out in clinical studies at this point. So anyways, I think you guys knew when you looked at me, probably if you watched any of my videos, probably my position on magic mushrooms was pro. I think that was like kind of obvious at the door. So I don't need to get into the finer points of why I believe mushrooms are great as a plant medicine. But I just thought this was a fun headline. It's sad that some poor guy on a mental break was trying to, shoot up magic mushrooms. That sucks. And also wild. Who knew that, fungi could like grow inside of your blood? I would imagine that maybe that's true of more than just psilocybin mushrooms, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Also, just, again, I think we're getting a good sense here of kind of the array of options on Yahoo News. So that's good. And then this is the last one oh yeah. So I picked this one out. Also, we'll put this at 2106. I picked this one out because I just felt like it epitomizes what is Yahoo News and what I'm trying to explain about what is Yahoo News to all of you. So it's the two stories on top of each other. The top one is a political one. Mike Pompeo cancels Europe trip after officials decline to meet with him. And then the next headline below it is a lifestyle headline. Man baffles social media with mind-blowing kitchen storage hack. How have I never thought of this before? ? The trick is so simple, most TikTokers were shocked they'd never thought of it. And that's just kind of like the level of discourse on Yahoo News. You know, you got the kind of Mike Pompeo, getting snubbed by the leadership in the EU. And then just like, some TikTok guy came up with a crazy life hack. And these are equal headlines that go right next to each other. And honestly, it's what makes Yahoo News so great. You know, you're like, okay. Yeah, Europe still thinks we're a joke. I'm already aware of that. I'm here. And also, like, I mean, I don't know how politics works, but it does seem weird to me. Like, why would Mike Pompeo go over there a week before the new administration is coming in? If I were the EU officials, I would also be like, I mean, we're not going to be working with you anymore. Why would we want to meet? Seems like is Mike Pompeo just trying to get like a nice Euro trip? He's also sick of the COVID lockdowns. He's like, let me go over to Europe. And did I figure out what the life hack was here? No, but I do love that Yahoo News has, is just like taking TikToks and making them headlines. And that's like really what media is in America these days. It's like what would have been kind of passable real news, and then just TikToks are now news. So anyways, that's our Yahoo News headline section. I'll just move that into the... Oh, wait. No, we need to save that. So that's our Yahoo News headlines. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And, I encourage all of you to start addictively checking Yahoo News for the absurd headlines. And I will continue to bring you the best of Yahoo News on this podcast. Now we're ending the show with another thing that I'm trying to make a segment kind of, which is what I'm into, what I've been into this week. I haven't been watching anything except for Survivor, and I can't just keep saying like I'm into Survivor, but it's really all I've been watching. And then I kind of talked about some of the political podcasts and news coverage I enjoy on YouTube. Of course, I also mentioned earlier the Tim Dillon Show, which I think I've also already mentioned in the What I'm Into section of the podcast before, but I think I love that guy. He is so freaking hilarious. So I highly recommend listening or watching to that podcast if you want to hear some just great rants. And if you're looking for somewhere to start, he got a bad review on Airbnb recently, and just search like Tim Dillon Airbnb rant. Or another great one to start with would be search on YouTube Tim Dillon corporate steakhouse rant. That's also one that's like, I'm not even into steakhouses, but it's good. The other thing I could recommend to you guys on YouTube that I've gotten into is Learn German with Anya on YouTube. She's like a German teacher. If you're not my Anya, it's a different Anya. But if you want to learn some German, which, let me just say, it's a fun, easy language to pick up. No problem. No, but I mean, it is. It's a good language, and there's a lot of opportunity to have if you learn German. So learn German with Anya if you want to learn German from a kind of a young, kind of perky, upbeat, blonde lady named Anya. That I can recommend that. That's something else I've watched. I also have been listening to the Lane 8 Summer 2020 mix, which has been hitting me with some nice feels with like the snow on the train. Just, I don't know. I've been digging it. The Township Rebellion Desert Hearts Black on YouTube. We watched that like 3 times on New Year's Eve, and I've also been continuing to play it back. Great set, really enjoying it. And then follow more. this French DJ that I can credit on one of Anya's other roommates, Andrea, for recommending to me. He did a New Year's Eve live stream at Polaris, and it's like in the mountains, in the snow. He's somehow wearing a shirt, which I don't understand. Maybe it's some crazy green screening, but it seemed like he's really there in the snow, and maybe he's just like freezing his ass off to look cool. I mean, we've all been there, right? But it's a good set and like some nice shots with it as well. So that's what I'm into this week. I'm going to try better to do. Oh, and then I wanted, I remember there's one other. My parents got Anya and I this book for Christmas, The Soul of an Octopus. I have not finished it, but I've read some of it, and I love it. It's called The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery, a surprising exploration into the wonder of consciousness. And I don't know. It's just really interesting to kind of hear her experience interacting with these octopuses and their level of intelligence and whatnot. So it's a book that I would recommend, even though I haven't finished it. I think that's everything. We got to wrap up because we're almost out of time here in the second half. But thank you all for watching. Next week, I have a podcast with this comedian named Dragos Comedy on all platforms. He's got some great stand-up bits and crowd work bits on YouTube and TikTok and whatnot. And we had a conversation about what it was like growing up in Romania, about comedy, and it was interesting and it was fun. Someone I met here in the Berlin open mic scene and who hosts a couple of my favorite open mics. So it was really fun to get to talk to him. So you've got that to look forward to next week. And more interviews coming up, more Yahoo News headlines, more bullshit rambling, hopefully every Friday. Let's see how long I can do it. But that's it for this week's episode of, as always, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Get in the comments. But yeah, thank you guys for watching if you made it to this point, or if you didn't, if you just watched the beginning and you don't hear this, I'm still thanking you from the bottom of my heart. Until next time. Goodbye.